Hey guys, welcome back to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. I'm your Saskatchewan mortgage professional, Ron Caroni, and this week we are talking about the rent-to-own home buying strategy. If you are even considering rent-to-own, or if you're just looking for more information on it, this is an excellent episode that you have to take in as we speak with Requity Homes CEO, Amy Ding. Hope you enjoy.
This is the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast, the show that highlights Saskatchewan real estate. Looking to buy your first house, your next investment property? Subscribe to never miss an episode. Here's your host, Ron Caroni.
Hello and welcome back to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Caroni. Here on the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast, we love to touch on all things real estate and all things Saskatchewan. And this week, a really cool episode talking about rent-to-owns. And here to help us explain it is Amy Ding with Requity Homes. Thank you so much for coming out, Amy.
Hey, Ron. Thanks for having me here.
Quickly, just give us an intro of yourself and Requity, just to give us a little background before we get into the concept of rent-to-own.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Amy. I'm the founder and CEO of Requity Homes. We're creating a new path to homeownership in Canada through a modernized rent-to-own program. And generally, we want to help families out there who have the cash flow to afford a home, but still cannot qualify for a mortgage. And we will essentially help those clients purchase the home of their choice upfront so they can rent the home from us with the option to purchase later at a guaranteed price.
Wonderful. All right, let's start off with the really obvious question of what is rent to own? It's something we see, on different real estate pages being posted. You might see the odd home being listed privately saying rent to own as an option, but just kind of give us a take on what is rent to own, Amy.
I always like it, use the analogy lease to own a car. So if we think about it nowadays, any Canadians, you go to any car dealerships in the country, you can buy a car in cash, you can finance it with a vehicle loan. You can also lease to own a car, which is actually pretty common. 20% of new car sales down through lease to own, where you essentially lease the car on a fixed monthly payment. And at the end of the lease term, you can decide whether you want to own the car or not. And if you think about it, why can't we do it for a home purchase? Right? Number one, homes cost a lot more money. So there should be more financing options available other than buy it in cash or mortgages. Secondly, homes are actually appreciating asset class. So what that means is as time goes by, generally speaking, real estate does go up in terms of price. So there are actually benefits for the clients to lock in that future buyback price at a certain level. Because if the future home value is more than the contractual buyback price, they can actually benefit from rising home prices as well.
So if I understand that analogy works really well of doing a lease and then the option to purchase during that time. Let's kind of go through some of the pros that you see of this program. And I know you touched on a few of them there, Amy, but let's expand upon that. Why is it something that, as a concept itself, should people be exploring, or what are some of the pros of rent to own?
Yeah, so before I answer that question, I do want to highlight we're not looking to replace mortgages at all. So if there's anyone out there, there you go, you're still in business, more so than ever. So if there are anyone out there, you have great income, great credits, you can get a mortgage from traditional lenders. That's going to be the easiest, cheapest way to get into home ownership. However, we all know that's not always the case for everyone, especially for newcomers, right, who don't have the Canadian credit history, self-employed individuals having a hard time getting their income recognized. Then rent-to-own could be a great stepping stone, transitioning from renting to owning. And specifically, what are like the value props, the benefits, doing a rent-to-own versus renting and then just wait until they can go get a mortgage. Number one, you can move into your dream home today, because we're going to buy it for you. And you don't have to wait for XYZ years, hoping you will be able to qualify for a mortgage and then start living in that home. And secondly, because we're buying a home for you today, that means you actually have a lot more homes to choose from. If you're simply renting, especially in the markets we operate, this in Saskatchewan, Saskatoon, Regina, there are very few single family rental homes available. And what happened is, even if you want to rent a house, there's just not enough inventory in the market. However, there are always homes available for sale. So we can actually buy those for sale homes for you to move in as a tenant with the option to buy back later. And thirdly, obviously, we're locking that future buyback price, like what we said before, option to purchase at a guaranteed price. So if the future home value is much higher than the contractual buyback price, as a rental client, for the first time ever, you can benefit from a rising home prices. Lastly, we do provide a lot of financial education to our clients to help them get ready for mortgage ASAP. That includes budget coaching, credit coaching. We can even report your rent payments to credit bureau to help you improve your credit score as well.
So then not only are you, thinking of this as a way of getting people into homes, but also helping them have a better financial understanding of the situation they find themselves in and better prepare them for owning that home long term.
Exactly. Because for us, buying a home for you right now is just step one. The end goal is we want you to buy back the home from us. And how could we get there? Anything we can do to help out financial resources or regular check-ins. We'll do whatever it takes to help our clients get ready for mortgage at the shortest period of time possible.
So we've touched on the positives. Now let's move to more of the negatives. If we could say, what are some drawbacks of this concept, or what are some pain points that you see with people with rent to own?
Yeah, it goes back to the same thing. We're not going to be as competitive as a traditional mortgage. So that's why I said very openly, and I tell this to all my clients as well. Have you tried to qualify for mortgage? If yes, go for that. Don't think about rent zone. This is more for a stepping stone for people who can't get a mortgage today. So we're not going to be as cheap as competitive as a traditional mortgage, a lender. That being said, even if you think about rent zone itself, there are a lot of things you need to take into consideration. Just be fully aware of the risks. Because at the end of the day, when you get into a rent zone, there's no guarantee you will eventually own. We'll try everything we can to help you get there, but there's no guarantee you will eventually qualify for mortgage to buy back the home. So just keep in mind of that. And obviously, if you choose not to buy back home, there's flexibility, but there is a non-refundable fee. We call it a non-transaction fee if you choose to walk away from the home. So rental is really for someone who is very serious about owning a home and they just need extra, let's say 1 to 3 years to get ready for traditional mortgage. Then this could be a great stepping stone. And if you're not sure about owning, and if you don't think you can qualify for traditional mortgage in 3 years, then I would say maybe right now it's not the best time.
Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that's very similar advice that I might give to someone if they come across my plate or we're going through their documents, is that say, hey, your credit is not in a place right now where you can buy, but here are the steps you can put in place to, potentially remedy this in the future. Now, I think you're using the term stepping stone. It is very accurate, I feel, in a sense that if someone was very adamant that they wanted to be in a home right away, this could be potentially an option for them if they wanted to explore that.
100%. At the end of the day, it really comes down to what they're looking for and what's their end goal.
So let's touch on the transition phase of this, Amy, because I think that's a really important part of this, is that it's not just about getting into the property, but if we are getting into the property, we'd eventually like it to be with a traditional lender at a good rate and kind of locking into that long-term home ownership. What are some of those big transition things that you see kind of from the business standpoint? Is it just improving credit? Is it that, a divorce has gone through and now there's a much more stable position? Can you take us through a few of those examples?
Yeah, 100%. So the examples you list there are definitely one of those, one of those few common scenarios. I'll give you some real life examples. The first client that ever bought back the home from us, they're newcomers, originally from Colombia. Their name's Maria Jose. I love them. They're fabulous. We actually met up in person in December once they bought back the home for the first time ever. And so they were new to the country at the time, so they had a thin credit file, i.e. when you're new, you just haven't had a chance to build up your Canadian credit history. The husband's credit score itself is relatively low, not because he has bad credit, just because he has one credit card, $500 limit. So it's just really hard early on. So in those cases, what we did with them is we just give them tips, advice. hey, try to get a cell phone bill, maybe get another credit card. And keep in mind, whenever you have $500 credit card limit, try to pay off your credit card very often, every day, every other day. Keep that utilization below 30% if possible. So after about 15 months, they were able to improve their credit score to over 700. And they work extremely hard, they had great income. So for them, it was very easy to get a mortgage, and they bought back the home literally in 15 months. So that's kind of the one category we're fitting to newcomers. And then the second clients who bought back the home from us, it took them about 24 months. So their situation is a bit different, but at the same time, it's also very common for small business owners out there, including those gig economy workers. So if you're a small business owner, you just started out, or if you're a contractor, you work for those gig economy platforms, they have a hard time getting their income recognized. This is definitely your expertise. All the traditional lenders will ask you, sorry, we need 2 years operating history. And for them, they have amazing credit, great income potential, what they were doing before, and they're just taking a chance, pursuing their entrepreneurial dream, and they couldn't get a mortgage. So in our case, after 24 months, they established their business with a proper tax filing, and eventually they got a mortgage and bought back the home from us in about 24 months. So those, I would say, two typical scenarios. Either they are new to the country, they don't have the credit, and we just work with them, help them get ready for that, or they're just small business owners, so they need extra 2 years to establish their business and do their tax filing properly.
Can we touch on the down payment aspect of rent to owns, Amy, and exactly how that works? When you first start out going into the process, do you need to have a down payment saved up when you enter into the rent to own? And then are you able to have the down payment for the property structured in the sense that a lender will then take that on after?
Yes. So for us, we do require an initial down payment from our clients just to make sure they're skin the game, our interests aligned. The initial down payment ranges from as low as 2% all the way up to 10%, depends on the client's risk profile. I'll give you some example. The Maria Jose, they're very low risk profile. They just haven't been in the country long enough. And in those cases, they started with $5,000, and we help them save towards 5% down so they can get a high ratio mortgages and then eventually buy back the home. So that's kind of the one story. However, there are also clients out there who may have filed for consumer proposal bankruptcy in the past or discharged. But based on our experience for those clients, chances are you need a 20% down payment at the end of the rental term in order to maximize your chance qualifying for mortgage. So in those cases, we do ask you to provide 10% down upfront, because it will be durable for me to help you save another 10% over the 3-year term, which is the typical standard term to get to 20%. It would be impossible to save, let's say, 18%, 20% over the 3-year term. So that's kind of how we decide, hey, how much down payment do you need? It really comes down to how much do you need towards the end of the term in order to maximize your chance of qualifying for mortgage. So other than that initial deposit piece, we do have a monthly saving, like ongoing monthly saving. In addition to the market rent our clients pay us, they do put a certain amount of money on the side. And Maria Jose told me, it's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I already saved this much money, because you don't feel it. If you do it every single month on discipline consistently, and in no time you realize, you know what, I already have this much saved. So and for our program, for our contract, we got a lot of legal opinions on that, and we drafted in a certain way where it's very clear what exactly is the initial deposit. Does that go to down payment? And what exactly for your monthly payment is actually goes towards the down payment? It was listed out very clearly in the contract that will help our clients to basically qualify for mortgage by applying those cumulative down payment savings as their own down payment upon buyback.
I think that's such an important point, that last part there. And if there's anyone out there who's considering this option, and if it's not with Requity Homes, you have to make sure that your ducks are lined up ahead of time. Can you just expand upon that a little bit, Amy? Because I think that's a really important part.
Yeah. So for our cases, because a lot of times, sometimes, people will say, hey, your rent is, I'm just using example, your rent is $2,000. However, if you buy back the home, I'm going to give you $200 credit towards a down payment. That's kind of what I've seen in the market, but in our case, it's very different. Hypothetically, an example like that, in our lease agreement, it clearly said the rent is $1,800. that's the rent. Whatever that $200 supposed to be monthly credit, it is monthly credits. And in our option to purchase agreement, you will say, hey, in addition to the initial deposit, which will count as down payment, you also agree to pay monthly, let's say $200. Make $200 monthly payments that will be considered monthly credit towards the final buyback price. And the way we draft our agreement is also both the initial deposit and the monthly credits are fully refundable. Because that's the other nature. When the time comes to it, people are like, is this really your down payment? Because if it's not even fully refundable, is that actually your money, right? So in our case, everything's fully refundable. Yes, there's non-refundable, I would say, transaction fee should you decide to walk away, but all of those initial deposit plus monthly savings are totally refundable in the contract as well to help our clients in terms of buying back at home, having those down payments saved through our program be recognized as a down payment by the lenders.
Thank you for giving such a great clarifying explanation on that, Amy. Last question to you, just touching on rent to owns. Is there anything specifically someone should be keeping in mind as we're talking about that concept, or something someone should know if they're thinking of doing something like this?
Yeah, totally. I would say definitely do your own due diligence homework in terms of getting to know, is this the right thing for you at the right time? Is that what you're looking for? Understand all the nitty-gritty details, like how is your future buyback price determined? If you for some reason you decided not buy back home, you decided to walk away, what happens to your down payment? What happens to your monthly savings? Just be fully aware of not only the best case scenario, but also the worst case scenario before jumping into a big decision like this. And always, if possible, try to get your independent legal opinion in terms of the contracts you're signing, just making sure you know what you're doing.
Awesome. A question I really like to ask everyone who comes on the podcast, Amy, is what advice would you give to a younger version of yourself?
Oh my gosh, I would tell myself, try to enjoy the journey as much as the destination, because I suck. Sometimes I'm too single-minded. I only see the end goal. Like that's where I want it to be. I don't care about the journey. I forgot to enjoy the scenery. I just want to keep going, get there where I want it to be. But sometimes this, life is not just about getting to the destination, and try to enjoy the scenery, embrace the process is as important as getting to the end goal itself.
Lovely, lovely. If someone is looking for a little more information on Requity or this concept, Amy, how would they get in contact with you, or how would they stay up to date?
Yeah, they can definitely check us out on our website. So feel free to Google Requity Homes, Requity. Our website is requityhomes.com. You can also email us at info@requityhomes.com. And we have a lot of great resources online, and you should be able to have all your questions answered. If not, there's also a toll-free number at the bottom of the website. You can give us a call as well.
Last question on this. What are your lending areas, Amy? Are you right across Canada? Are you specifically in Saskatchewan? If someone's watching this from out of province, where are you lending right now?
Yeah, so right now we're not national yet, but that's definitely the end goal. See, I'm trying to embrace this journey getting there. So right now we're live in Saskatchewan, Regina in Saskatchewan. We're also live in Edmonton, Alberta, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and also Northern Ontario. That being said, we can always make exceptions if there are clients in other geographies that fit into our underwriting criteria. It's just for us, from our marketing efforts perspective, we're very targeted in those geography, but I would never say no. At the end of the day, if it's the right client, the right property, we always want to make exceptions and help people become homeowners.
Awesome. We could probably talk for another half an hour on this, but we'll leave it here. Thank you very much, Amy, for coming on and sharing your experience and knowledge on this concept. I think it's going to get more and more popular as we see shifting home markets in the country. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. If you found some value here, do us a favor and hit the like button. And if you're looking for more information on Saskatchewan real estate and about home buying in this province, make sure to subscribe to never miss our weekly episodes that come out every single Monday. Better yet, if you're looking for a home in the Saskatchewan market, be sure to click in the show notes below where there is a complete list of things of how you can connect with me and potentially you can explore the option of getting a mortgage here in this beautiful province. Until next week, my name is Ron Peroni, your Saskatchewan mortgage professional.